Tonight, Jodi Arias jurors make a major announcement right here. They will reveal what they'll do this week at a hearing for the convicted killer. It is seconds away. Good evening. My co-host is Samantha Shocker, host of Pop Trigger on the Young Turks Network. Coming up, the 911 call that exposed the death of a New York fashion designer. And in just a minute, two of Jodi Arias' jurors are here with a surprising announcement. First off, though, their dilemma over which came first, the stab wounds or the gunshot. Check this out.
She made sure that Mr. Alexander, that Travis Alexander, did not go gently into that hot afternoon back on June 4th of 2008. Was he alive at the time that all of these stab wounds took place?
Yes, I believe he was.
Was he alive when he was stabbed in the heart?
Yes.
Was he alive when he was being stabbed in the back of the head?
Yes.
Was he alive when he was being stabbed in the back?
Yes.
How about, was he alive, in your opinion, when his throat was slit?
Yes.
Can you tell with regard to the gunshot wound to the right temple whether or not he was alive or not at that point?
Again, there's a wound going through the head, and I don't see hemorrhage in the brain.
If we don't see hemorrhaging or bleeding, as you talked about, is that an indication that the person was already dead?
They may have been, yes.
Shanna Hogan is an investigative reporter and the author of the upcoming book on the Arias case, Picture Perfect. Shanna, what do you have for us tonight?
Thanks, Dr. Drew. We can report tonight that Thursday's status conference hearing will go on as planned, and that's at 8:30 a.m. local time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. And the judge is going to allow camera coverage, although it won't be live. And we're hearing that's going to be very short, but Jodi will be there, so it should be very interesting.
Thank you so much, Shanna. Joining us, SiriusXM radio host Jenny Hutt, attorney Darren Kavanoki, host of Deadly Sins on Investigation Discovery, attorney Anahita Sadagatfar, and Darren, I understand you, I believe we have, is Jenny in this panel too? There you are, Jenny's in there also. Darren, I understand you and Anahita do not see eye to eye on the death penalty phase of this case coming up. Anahita, you go first.
Yeah, well, Dr. Drew, I can see why many people think that the state should just take death off the table, offer Jodi Arias a plea deal. I mean, this has cost Arizona taxpayers millions of dollars. It's taken an emotional toll on everybody. But I think what's crucial here is really what the Alexander family wants. And they've made it very clear that they want death for Jodi Arias. And let's not forget, 12 of those jurors unanimously found Jodi Arias guilty of first-degree premeditated murder. Those 12 jurors found that it was also the cruelest form of murder. And under Arizona law, that is a death penalty case. And I think the state, quite frankly, has an obligation to move forward with the death penalty. And we already know, Dr. Drew, the way Martinez is so passionate about this case, I think taking death off the table would essentially be a loss for him, a concession. And I just don't see him doing that. So I think the state needs to push forward and retry the case.
Darren, you disagree?
Well, I've got a different take on it. At some point, it becomes less about justice and more about winning. And I get that passions run high, that all of America and much of the world was all rallied against Jodi Arias. We all were calling for her head, figuratively.
Okay.
But Lady Justice is blind for a reason, and that is sometimes to protect us from ourselves. The death penalty is supposed to be reserved for the worst of the worst. And I can't help but wonder, as heinous as this crime is this really the worst of the worst?
But at what point do you think the wishes of the family should be considered, Darren? I mean, at what point do you think that the wishes of the family should be respected? I think that's what's critical here. Look, I'm a defense attorney, and I've gone on the record over and over presenting Jodi Arias's defense and presenting the defense perspective. But I think once those jurors have spoken, and they have, that this was the cruelest form of murder, and you take that with the other victims in this case, which are Travis Alexander's family, I think the state has an obligation to honor their wishes.
Darren, finish up with your thoughts.
They're certainly a factor. They're a factor to be honored, but the jurors in Arizona spoke, and they spoke loudly and said, we're 8-4 deadlocked. that's enough. And to spend the millions of dollars, there are plenty of school kids in Phoenix who would prefer that tax money go into school lunches and other programs. Yes, we understand that the family wants that feeling of retribution, but that's not just what the justice system is about.
You guys, speaking of deadlock, you guys are deadlocked. The thing there'll be
We'll continue this battle later, Darren.
Yeah, exactly.
To be continued.
Joining me now, listen, I want to hear from the horse's mouth, as it were. Jodi Arias, jurors. Mary Lou Allen Coogan and Tara Kelly are here. Ladies, now, our viewers have taken to social media to guess why you're here tonight. We made a deal that you have an announcement, and immediately, of course, social media takes off with that. Here's what Kathy C. says. She says, quote, they'll all be appearing on an episode of Glee.
What?
Well, I'm just quoting the social media. Charlene S. says, the jury foreman dated Jodi. Is that what you're here to announce? And finally, perhaps they found Hoffa's body. That was Marilyn R. who wanted to come out with that one. No, I don't think it's any of those. Nothing crazy like that. But you do have a plan on the calendar for Thursday. Thursday's a date that's come up already this evening. Mary Lou, why don't you tell us what's up and why you want to be there?
I do plan on going to the hearing that's being held on Thursday. I feel like I need to see this through as much as I can with my home schedule, my work schedule. I just feel like I'm invested.
Are the rest of the jurors going to go with you?
Not all of them, no.
Tara, you're going, though. Is that correct?
Yes. Again, with Mary Lou, we were so invested. You know, it's definitely not as exciting of an announcement as those suggestions. But yes, me, Mary Lou, and Diane will all be attending. Those are the three that we know for sure. Again, we were fully invested in this trial, and we want to continue to see it through till the end.
What do you expect to see in the courtroom? Tara?
Well, it seems like it's going to be pretty quick as far as I'm guessing that the judge is going to finally rule on the defense's motion to delay the trial till January, which is ridiculous. But I'm guessing that we're going to have an answer to that motion.
Now, Mary Lou, there's some information that you mentioned to my producers that I found rather surprising. Apparently, the jury was almost deadlocked on the first-degree murder decision, right? Is that correct? And can you tell me about that?
I wouldn't say we were almost deadlocked. There were definitely open minds. There was no predetermined assumption of her guilt when we went into that room. We debated all of it, every aspect of it. The felony part, the premeditated part, we did all of that.
And we heard some testimony in a tape a few seconds ago about the sequence of what Jodi's alleged to have done in terms of the stabbing and the gunshot. Did your experience as an ER nurse affect or factor into your decision, or was that all just incidental as well?
No. With what I've been exposed to in my training and my career, just the sheer brutality of the murder was very apparent. It was evidenced by the crime scene photos, the autopsy photos. And for me, that brutality was underscored by Dr. Horn's testimony.
Jenny, you wanted to comment?
I do. I just want to say that regardless of what the judge decides in terms of whether she's going to extend the trial, put the trial at a later date or not, I just hope that everyone's checking in with the family to see that the family does still want to push for the death penalty, that each day they're sort of checking in, or each week they're checking in, because who knows what time's going to bring for them. Certainly, they're always going to hate Jodi, and I find what she did unforgivable, of course, but perhaps they'll want it just over and done with and want her just locked up forever, never to speak to anybody. Maybe that's what they're going to be happy with, rather than continuing this.
And Samantha, you want to follow on with something?
I wanted to just ask Tara. Are Tara and Mary Lou still on the phone?
Yeah, Tara.
I wanted to ask them, you know, they mentioned that they're really invested into this case. Have you had trouble adjusting back to your normal life pre-Jodi Arias, because your lives have changed completely?
Tara, let me ask you first, then Mary Lou, and then we got to go.
Yeah, it's been a big adjustment trying to get back to normal, as far as, you know, people always wanting to talk about it. And it takes a while to be able to open up about it. So it's definitely taken some time, but I'm finally getting there.
Okay. Mary Lou?
Same here. Yeah, for me it was not being able to sleep well, which I guess kind of works since I work nights. But yeah, we're getting there. We're not there yet, but we're getting there.
Are people wanting to speak to you about this out in the community? Or do people want your thoughts, or they want to talk about it? Or do you want to talk about it, or are you tending to withdraw?
Well, there's definitely a lot of questions from people that, you know, in the community that know us or don't know us. I like to talk about it because I didn't get to deliberate. So once the trial was over, that's when I first got to talk about it.
Got it. Mary Lou?
Yes, I do still have people talking to me about it, and I still feel the need to talk about it. I think I will until I have gotten into my pre-trial frame of mind, if that ever happens.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you for joining us again. We will look forward to your thoughts after Thursday.